take a deep breath, and let's hear a story about Emily, a woman whose fear of change became her path to unexpected joy. Emily's mornings always began the same way, the gentle chime of her alarm at precisely 6:30 a.m., followed by the comforting ritual of brewing her favorite chamomile tea in the blue ceramic mug her grandmother had given her. Sunlight filtered through her cream-colored curtains, casting a warm, golden glow across her meticulously organized apartment where everything had its designated place. Her fingers would trace the smooth wooden surface of her kitchen table as she savored each sip, the gentle steam caressing her face like a morning whisper. For the past 5 years, Emily had worked as an accountant at Meridian Financial, a small firm nestled in a brick building downtown where the scent of fresh coffee perpetually lingered in the air. Her colleagues were predictable, her tasks familiar, and her routine unwavering, creating a comforting rhythm that felt as steady as her own heartbeat. The soft hum of the office air conditioning, the gentle clicking of keyboards, and the occasional quiet conversation created a soothing background melody to her workdays. Her closest friend at work was Margaret, a woman in her 60s with silver-streaked hair and eyes that crinkled when she smiled, who brought homemade cookies every Friday that filled the office with a heavenly aroma of vanilla and cinnamon. Emily loved their afternoon walks to the park during lunch breaks, where they would sit on the same wooden bench beneath a sprawling oak tree, listening to the peaceful rustling of leaves overhead. The predictability of these moments was a gentle anchor in Emily's carefully structured world. Her apartment was a sanctuary of calm, decorated in soothing blues and soft grays, with plush throw pillows and a weighted blanket that embraced her like a warm hug at the end of each day. Watercolor paintings of serene landscapes adorned her walls, each one chosen for its ability to transport her to peaceful meadows and tranquil seashores. The gentle ticking of her wall clock provided a rhythmic soundtrack to her evenings as she curled up with a book or prepared simple meals. On weekends, Emily would visit the same local farmer's market, where the vibrant colors of fresh produce and the earthy fragrance of newly harvested vegetables delighted her senses. She knew each vendor by name and took pleasure in their familiar conversations, the genuine smiles, and the way Mrs. Chun from the flower stand always saved her favorite lilacs when they were in season. These small, predictable joys were the threads that wove together the comfortable tapestry of Emily's existence. Emily's childhood had instilled in her a deep appreciation for stability. Having grown up in a household where her father's military career meant frequent relocations and constant adaptation to new environments, The memory of tearful goodbyes to friends and the anxiety of being the perpetual new girl had left an indelible mark on her spirit. Now, as an adult, she found profound comfort in knowing exactly what tomorrow would bring, and the security of familiar faces and places. Her small circle of friends understood her need for advanced planning and rarely suggested spontaneous activities, respecting the boundaries she had carefully constructed around her life. They would gather monthly for dinner at Emily's apartment, where she would prepare the same delicious pasta dish that everyone loved, served on her matching dinnerware alongside freshly baked bread that filled the room with its yeasty warmth. These evenings would end with herbal tea and quiet conversation as candles flickered softly in the background. Each night before bed, Emily would engage in her calming ritual of gentle stretching by the open window, breathing in the cool evening air that carried the faint scent of jasmine from the plant on her balcony. The distant sound of occasional cars passing by mingled with the soft chirping of crickets, creating a soothing lullaby. Her cotton pajamas felt soft against her skin as she slipped between crisp, clean sheets, her body relaxing into the familiar contours of her mattress. Emily's calendar was meticulously maintained, with color-coded entries for work commitments, social engagements, and personal tasks, leaving nothing to chance or unexpected alteration. The sight of her neatly organized schedule brought her a sense of peace, like gentle hands smoothing away potential wrinkles of uncertainty. Her smartphone would chime with reminders throughout the day, each alert a reassuring confirmation that her life was proceeding exactly as planned. Though some might have found her lifestyle overly structured, Emily discovered genuine contentment in her routines, finding freedom within the boundaries she had established for herself. The predictable path she walked allowed her mind to focus on small pleasures, the perfect temperature of her morning shower, the satisfaction of completing tasks at work, the comforting weight of her favorite sweater against her skin. These sensory delights anchored her in the present moment. Her parents, who had settled into retirement in a coastal town 3 hours away, would call every Sunday evening, their familiar voices traveling through the phone like a warm embrace. Emily would settle into her favorite armchair, a soft throw blanket draped across her lap as they exchanged stories about their week. The consistency of these calls was like a lighthouse guiding her safely through the passage of time, illuminating the way forward with its steady, reliable beam. As the seasons changed outside her window, painting the world in shifting colors and textures, Emily found comfort in the knowledge that her internal landscape remained steady and unchanged. The sound of rain pattering against her window pane in autumn, the crisp scent of winter's first snow, the delicate perfume of spring blossoms, and the warm embrace of summer sunshine, all were welcome visitors that enhanced rather than disrupted the peaceful sanctuary she had created for herself. Never did Emily imagine that her carefully constructed world could change in an instant, that the foundation she had built her life upon could shift like sand beneath her feet, forcing her to find new balance. The universe, however, has its own plans, often leading us down unexpected paths that reveal strengths we never knew we possessed, opening doors to possibilities we might otherwise have never discovered. The morning everything changed began like any other, with Emily savoring her tea, the comforting weight of the mug warming her palms as sunlight spilled across her kitchen table. Her phone chimed with an unexpected message from her manager requesting an urgent all-staff meeting at 9 a.m., causing a ripple of unease to disturb her usual calm. As she walked to work, she noticed how the cherry blossoms had begun to open along her route, their delicate pink petals catching the morning light like tiny lanterns. The atmosphere in the office conference room was heavy with tension, the usual background hum of conversation notably absent as employees exchanged worried glances. Emily's heart began to race when the company president entered with reddened eyes and announced that due to financial difficulties, Iridian Financial would be closing its doors at the end of the month. The words seemed to hang in the air like suspended dust particles, catching in Emily's throat as she tried to process what this meant for her carefully planned life. As shock waves rippled through her body, Emily felt the solid ground beneath her begin to shift and crumble, leaving her floating in a sea of uncertainty. The familiar office suddenly seemed alien, the comfort of routine evaporating like morning mist. That night she couldn't sleep, her mind racing with questions about mortgage payments, job prospects, and how quickly her savings would disappear as she stared at the shadows dancing across her ceiling. Over the following weeks, Emily's apartment transformed from a sanctuary into a command center for job hunting, with resumes, cover letters, and bills spreading across her once pristine surfaces. The rejections accumulated with disheartening regularity, each one a small paper cut to her confidence. She noticed how the plants on her windowsill needed water, their leaves drooping slightly as if in sympathy with her sagging spirits, and she found comfort in nurturing them back to vibrant health. One particularly challenging morning, after receiving yet another rejection email, Emily decided to take a different route on her daily walk, needing to escape the now familiar path that reminded her of her commute to work. Her feet carried her down unfamiliar streets until she found herself standing before a small, inviting bookstore with a hand-painted sign that read, "Turning Pages." The display window featured books arranged around a miniature lighthouse, its beam seemingly pointing directly at her. A bell chimed softly as Emily pushed open the door, releasing the intoxicating aroma of old books, fresh coffee, and something indefinable that reminded her of rainy days and quiet contentment. Shelves stretched from floor to ceiling, creating cozy nooks and crannies filled with literary treasures waiting to be discovered. An elderly gentleman with kind eyes and a cardigan the color of autumn leaves looked up from the counter and offered a warm smile that seemed to reach out and steady her. "Just browsing," Emily murmured, allowing her fingers to trail along the spines of books, feeling the different textures beneath her fingertips: smooth leather, rough cloth, glossy paperbacks, as she wandered deeper into the shop. She found herself in the travel section, surrounded by images of far-off places she had never considered visiting, vibrant photographs of landscapes so different from her own carefully controlled environment that they almost seemed to belong to another world entirely. A book about Japanese gardens caught her eye, its cover featuring a perfectly balanced arrangement of rocks, moss, and carefully pruned trees that somehow reminded her of her previous life. As she leafed through the pages, absorbing photographs of serene spaces designed for contemplation, she came across a quote that made her pause. "The most beautiful gardens embrace change, allowing each season to bring its own unique gifts." The words seemed to whisper directly to her heart, offering unexpected solace. Emily lost track of time as she explored the bookstore, eventually finding herself seated in a warm leather armchair by the window, a small stack of books on the table beside her. The afternoon light filtered through the glass, casting a golden glow across the pages as she read, her breathing slowing to match the peaceful rhythm of the shop. For the first time in weeks, the tight knot of anxiety in her chest began to loosen, allowing her to take deeper, more satisfying breaths. When the bookstore owner, who introduced himself as Walter, mentioned that he was looking for part-time help, the words tumbled from Emily's lips before she could analyze or second-guess. "I'm looking for work." Her heart fluttered with a mixture of anxiety and something she hadn't felt in a long time, a spark of excitement, a flicker of possibility. Walter's eyes crinkled with delight as he invited her to start the following Monday, his weathered hands gesturing enthusiastically as he described the job. Emily's first day at Turning Pages was nothing like the structured environment she was accustomed to, with no employee handbook or formal training schedule. Instead, Walter taught her how to use the ancient cache, read its satisfying mechanical clunk, showed her the system for organizing the constantly shifting inventory, and introduced her to the regular customers who wandered in throughout the day. The unpredictability was both terrifying and strangely liberating, like stepping into a flowing river after years of swimming in a pool. As days turned into weeks, Emily discovered unexpected joy in the rhythms of the bookstore, in greeting customers whose preferences she came to know, in unpacking boxes of new arrivals that filled the air with the crisp scent of fresh pages. She began to recommend books based on her own reading adventures, feeling a warm glow of satisfaction when customers returned to thank her for perfect suggestions. Her fingers no longer trembled when facing unexpected tasks, and she found herself looking forward to the surprises each day might bring. A young woman named Zoe began frequenting the shop, her vibrant clothes and colorful hair a stark contrast to Emily's muted wardrobe. Despite their differences, they bonded over a shared love of mystery novels and gradually began meeting for coffee after Emily's shifts ended. These conversations stretched for hours, meandering through topics from books to dreams to childhood memories, creating a new friendship that felt both unexpected and somehow inevitable, like finding a perfect book you didn't know you were searching for. Six months after losing her accounting job, Emily stood behind the counter at Turning Pages, watching golden autumn light stream through the windows and dance across the bookshelves, creating patterns that shifted and changed with the passing clouds. The shop had become a second home, filled with familiar scents and sounds that soothed her soul. The gentle rustle of turning pages, the rich aroma of the coffee Walter brewed each morning, the soft murmur of readers lost in literary worlds. Her body felt relaxed in this space, her shoulders no longer carrying the tension that had once been her constant companion. Walter had recently offered Emily a full-time position as manager, recognizing her natural talent for connecting customers with books that seemed to speak directly to their hearts. The proposal had come as they shared tea in the back room, steam rising between them like unspoken possibilities, the porcelain cups warming their hands as rain pattered gently against the windows. Emily had accepted without hesitation, surprising herself with the immediate certainty that felt like sinking into a perfectly comfortable bed after a long journey. Her apartment had transformed along with her life, no longer a monument to rigid order, but a living space that breathed and evolved with her changing interests. New books filled the shelves, their colorful spines adding vibrance to the once muted decor, and plants flourished on every available surface, their lush leaves reaching toward the sunlight. A collection of mismatched teacups from various antique shops now replaced her perfectly matched set, each one holding memories of the day she had discovered it. Emily's friendship with Zoe had blossomed into something precious and unexpected, leading to introductions to a wider circle of diverse and interesting people, who now gathered in her home for impromptu dinners where recipes were invented rather than followed precisely. The sound of laughter frequently filled her living room, mingling with the gentle clinking of glasses and the soft background music that accompanied their conversations about books, dreams, and life's unpredictable journey. One evening, as Emily was about to close the shop, a customer rushed in just before closing time, a harried-looking man with kind eyes and an apologetic smile who needed to find a birthday gift for his niece. As Emily helped him select the perfect book, their conversation flowed with surprising ease, revealing shared interests and complementary perspectives. Before leaving, he hesitantly asked if she might join him for coffee sometime, sliding his business card across the counter with a warmth in his gaze that sent a pleasant shiver down her spine. David, she discovered over that first coffee date, was an architect who found beauty in balanced spaces but also embraced the unexpected elements that gave buildings character and soul. Their relationship developed with a natural rhythm that never felt rushed or forced, each interaction adding another layer of connection and understanding between them. On their fifth date, as they walked through a sculpture garden at twilight, the scent of blooming jasmine encircling them like a blessing, Emily realized she had never felt so present, so attuned to the moment. When Emily's parents came to visit, they marveled at the transformation in their daughter, commenting on the new lightness in her step and the easy smile that now seemed permanently etched on her face. They all sat in her garden, watching butterflies dance among the flowers she had planted, the afternoon sun warm on their skin as they shared stories and dreams. Her father, his voice soft with emotion, told her how proud he was of her courage in embracing change rather than fighting against it. On the anniversary of her job loss, Emily took the day off and returned to the park where she and Margaret used to have lunch, finding their old bench beneath the oak tree. As she sat with her eyes closed, feeling the dappled sunlight on her face and listening to the rustling leaves above, a profound sense of gratitude washed over her for the unexpected twist that had initially seemed like disaster, but had ultimately led her to a richer, more authentic life. Walter surprised Emily by revealing that he had been considering retirement and wanted to offer her the opportunity to purchase Turning Pages. As they discussed the possibility, sitting among the books that had become like old friends, Emily felt a surge of excitement rather than fear at the prospect of taking on such responsibility. She realized how far she had come from the woman who had once found security only in rigid predictability, to someone who could now embrace opportunities without knowing exactly where they might lead. With David's encouragement and practical support, Emily developed a business plan, secured a loan, and began the process of becoming a bookstore owner. The paperwork and financial details that would once have overwhelmed her now felt like an invigorating challenge, each completed step bringing her closer to a dream she hadn't known she harbored. At night, she would fall into a deep, peaceful sleep, her body relaxed and her mind quiet, no longer racing with anxieties about what might go wrong. The day Emily signed the final papers making her the official owner of Turning Pages, she held a small celebration in the bookstore after closing. Surrounded by friends both old and new, with David's steady presence beside her, she raised a glass in a toast to Walter, to unexpected changes, and to the beautiful uncertainty of the future. Candlelight flickered across the faces of those she loved, creating a constellation of human connection that filled her heart with indescribable joy. Later that evening, as Emily and David strolled home beneath a canopy of stars, their fingers intertwined and their steps unhurried, she reflected on how her greatest fear had become her greatest gift. The night air carried the sweet scent of possibility, and the gentle pressure of David's hand in hers anchored her in a present moment so rich with contentment that it seemed to expand beyond the boundaries of time, stretching into infinity like the star-filled sky above them. As she drifted toward sleep that night, Emily's body felt heavy with a pleasant weariness, her muscles relaxed and her mind quiet. She focused on the gentle rhythm of her breathing, each inhale bringing fresh gratitude for the life she had discovered by releasing her grip on certainty. With each exhale, she released any remaining anxiety about the future, trusting that whatever changes might come, she now possessed the strength and flexibility to grow through them rather than break. The soft embrace of her bed cradled her as she surrendered to sleep, her dreams filled with bookshops, gardens, and endless new paths waiting to be explored.